Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. And welcome to another edition of First Attack. Here, I share my thoughts on the pilot or first episode of a new TV series. Keep in mind that the views I'm expressing are only a reflection of the pilot or first episode of said series. It is not a reflection upon the season or series itself. I'll be frank, I'm sick of all these remakes, reboots, and revitalizations. Things that were good should stay in the past, Having things come back up here and there sporadically isn't natural, but it's pretty much, hey, this was popular in the 80s, this was popular in the 90s, this was semi-popular in the late 70s. Let's bring it back. And yeah, I'm not a fan of that, especially when it comes to sitcoms, because sitcoms, after a certain time, they lose their freshness and everything and all. But I missed the boat with the original series of the topic of today's First Attack. So, since I missed the boat with that one, I feel that I should catch up. And I don't want to miss anything with this particular revival. So, with that in mind, I'm going to give you all my thoughts on how well the Roseanne Revival was. Now, before I go any further, I must say that people quietly told me, Token Dave, you only talked about the very first half of the DuckTales remake. Why didn't you talk about the whole thing? And I just said that was two different episodes. This is First Attack. But with that said, it was released as basically, one full show. And despite the fact that it's still two episodes, I'm going to count both episodes as one. All right? So let's go into Roseanne, the Revival. So the working class family of the Connors are back. And basically, things have changed and stayed the same, Dan and Roseanne are now basically in their mid to late 60s, and they're pretty much grandparents right now, and they're coping with the fact that basically some of their children have moved back in with their grandkids, and as well as basically some feuds have sparked due to basically political partisanship. So, I'll be frank. Normally, I expect these things to go bad and bad quickly. That didn't happen here. Remarkably, the chemistry still remains. No one missed a beat at all. Pretty much everyone was the same, with the exception of Roseanne herself. Because Roseanne is now a conservative Republican compared to how she was a progressive Democrat in the 90s. No, not a liberal Democrat, a progressive Democrat. There's a difference. Roseanne back in the 90s did not have faith or really trust the government. Big difference. Anyway, so that's the major change, and pretty much that has basically caused a divide between Roseanne and Jackie. Other than that, basically, pretty much everyone still remained their same personality types, from the original cast. However, we also have now a new generation, a younger generation of Connors, and we're more focused on Darlene's kids. And pretty much Darlene's kids are, as you would guess, a bit of a combination of how, Darlene, Becky, and DJ were, Though I personally see basically Darlene's kids more of how Roseanne and Jackie are, with Darlene's oldest daughter being more cynical, but being a little more dramatic. So that's pretty much a fusion of of Darlene, Roseanne, and Becky, while Darlene's younger son is pretty much more like a fusion of Jackie and DJ, which is fairly interesting. And to top it off, because we have 3 generations, there are 3 points of views or mind settings each generation has. And Roseanne and Dan are still trying to come to terms. Excuse me. Pardon. Roseanne and Dan are beginning to come to terms now that basically their way of thinking and their ways or lives are pretty much, null and void at this moment. Despite that, their wisdom or worldviews, I don't think wisdom is the best way to describe it with those two. Their wisdom is still necessary at time points. Well, maybe their dysfunction, and their putting their foot downs are necessary at time points. While the original Connor kids, they're navigating life in the 21st century and coping with things in a fairly different way. So, is there anything wrong with this revival? Yeah, there are some things while trying to be updated and with certain situations, there are some things that do kind of feel forced, number 1. Number 2, the show itself, thus far, despite the awesome comedic timing of everything, and despite how well everyone gelled together, you could tell that there were still things that were a little too formulaic, and basically it's a sign of the olden times, So basically, I think, despite that these things are formulaic, we're going to probably see more of a branching out and more of basically things being a lot more relevant to this time period as opposed to the 90s. Despite all of that, all the original cast, the main original cast, all of them are back, and everyone basically did not miss a beat. The jokes were hilarious. Everything, we get the side of 3 generations. The gags are still entertaining. I don't know. I'm sorry. Despite my 2 complaints and nitpicks, this is a critical strike. I'm immediately hooked, and I didn't think that would happen. Agree? Disagree? Drop me a comment below. Give me a like. Follow me on Facebook at Token Dave or on Twitter at TokenDave80. Subscribe, ring that bell so you know a new video loads, and spread this video out. But until then, this has been Token Dave, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. I'll catch all of you later.